Well, good morning. It's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. Finally, a day maybe to be out in the weather. Who knows? We'll see. This week, I've been talking about if I could go back in time, what kinds of things would I tell the younger me? And I thought about how I talked to myself about prayer on Monday. Yesterday, I talked to myself about how things will work out. Today is a little bit different. Today is some personal growing advice that I would give to myself if I could go back in time. In fact, kind of give it to myself now because I'm a young man in fact, I'm as young as I'll ever be from here on out to the rest of my life. And so what is it that I would tell myself that I wish so much I could have gotten a jump on even before today? And it's this: make a conscious decision about what habits you want in your life and make a conscious decision about what habits you want out of your life. And here's what I mean. In my life, I develop habits and patterns of behavior, and I want to develop good ones. I want from an early outset to have good ones. The scripture talks about how Jesus had a custom or habit, ethos in the Greek, of going and having alone time with God. I want a habit of daily quiet time with God. I want a habit. Jesus, according to Luke 2:42, it talks about how his parents took Jesus to Jerusalem. They went up there for one of the religious festivals, as was their custom. That was a habit that they had. That's something that they did. I want to have a habit life of not just alone time with God, but time in worship, time in fellowship. These are habits I want. Proverbs 22 says that if you train up a child in the way they should go, when they're old, they won't depart from it. Now, that's talking about habits. If you help your children develop habits, then as they get older, those habits will be real. And it's no different for you and me. To the extent I can train habits, I can develop habits. That's a good thing for me to do. And the other side of the coin is getting rid of bad habits. The writer of Hebrews says, don't fail to go to church. Don't neglect meeting together, as is the habit of some. I want to get rid of a habit of not having time with God, not having time in worship. Paul writes to Timothy, gives good advice the same way. In 1 Timothy 4:7, he says, don't have anything to do with silly, irreverent myths. Instead, train yourself for godliness. And that Greek word for train is the root of our word for a gymnasium. It's the idea of a place you go to train yourself. Paul says, develop good habits of godliness. The writer of Hebrews says, don't let a root of bitterness develop. That's a bad habit. Get rid of that. You want the roots to be good, solid roots that produce good fruit in your life, not roots of bitterness that take over and just make you into a bitter person. Not roots like Paul talks about in 1 Timothy 6:10, where he says the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. You don't want those types of roots. You want to get rid of the bad habits and put in the good habits. That's what I wish so much I told myself younger, and it's what I'm going to tell myself now. I heard an older spiritual mentor of mine speak in September of last year, Don Finto. And Don is 90 years old now, and he challenged those people that are younger. He would call me a young man at the age of 60. He said, get rid of those bad habits before you get old. He says, if you can't get rid of bad sexual immorality and thoughts when you're a young man, don't think they just disappear on their own. They turn you into a dirty old man. If you can't get rid of gossipy tongue when you're a young person or a middle-aged person, they just turn you into an old bitty gossip when you're old. If you can't get rid of anger when you're young, they just turn you into an angry old man. We need to get rid of those old habits. Now you say, well, how do you do that, Mark? That's going to be in tomorrow's video thought for the day. More advice from me when I'm younger, but I'll give you a hint. They're habits. You work on them. You develop them. God bless you.